Good morning. So I've done the thing that a YouTuber should never do. I've weighed myself. The many perils of living in a building site for 8 months is we don't really have a kitchen, we don't really have the cookbooks that we normally use, and we have relied very much on chicken and chips and other convenience foods. But I guess it's good timing because today is going to be a physical day. I've got 2 tons of compost and gravel, a ton each, to move from the front garden to the back garden because it is currently blocking our neighbor's driveway. So they very kindly have moved their car to the side, but I don't think they're super appreciative of just having 2 giant pallets dropped in their space. So I'm going to get to work with that. I have some other things to do. I've got some trees to plant, a tree to cut down, possibly. I've got some bamboo to plant as well. So we'll see how far that goes. So far, it's not raining today, but it's not very nice. So I'm just going to do what I can because tomorrow I have a lot of stuff to do inside the house, which I don't think I'll get to today because I think deliveries will show up a bit too late to be helpful. But I guess if you're trying to get rid of your winter pudge, just move a couple tons of earth. Let's go get started. Okay. Annoyingly, it's raining quite a bit more than I would like. So let's see what we can actually do. Thinking I might just cut down the apple tree. Let's do some damage. Unfortunately, the apple tree is aimed right in the wrong direction for cutting it down easily. But we're going to see if we can at least get it to fall towards the wood pile instead of destroying my Isa. Maybe. I'm gonna have to just make it go that way and just try to aim it away from the baby tree. Alright, in the continuing adventures of this fucking idiot, let's see if we can pull this thing down and not kill ourselves. Now it's going. So actually, I think force it to push now that it's actually. Let's see. Miraculously, it did not actually break the maple, it just bent it. Oh, well resisted little maple. At least now, just cut the branches off. Was it stupid? Yes. Have I done what I wanted to do? Also, yes. What? Oh no. The battery. Okay, need to have a conversation with my husband about where all my charger ports have gone, but we found a battery that's full. So let's wind this up and move some dirt. out of the maple. All right, so get this considerably easier without the threat of a little tree in front of you. There we go. One less apple tree. Well, that looks quite a bit different without the apple tree there. But I don't think it'll take very long for the sweet gum to fill in that space. So I am gonna put some gravel in the hole, put some of the clay back into the hole, add a bit of compost to the dirt that Andy took out, and I'm gonna plant the sweet gum right now, and then I'm gonna put the bamboo into the corner, and then I'm just gonna move as much of the stuff out of these bags as I can. Won't that be fun? Okay, well, it took 2 hours, but we have cut down the apple tree and planted the sweet gum, also known as a liquid amber. So it's in the leaf family. So I'm just going to stake it in. So you don't want it so tight that it can't move. That's not the idea. You just don't want it to fall over. So that should be right. I've given it quite a brutal pruning back because we're going to plant a berry hedge-ish behind it. So we wanted to have plenty of room, and that way you see the height. So the next thing I'm going to do is grab my nail gun, because as you can see, the fence is already falling apart just a couple of months after we put it in. So I'm just going to pop a few nails into these and try to make them not look like absolute dog crap. All right, let's try to fix the worst of these, I guess. Just going completely down. I guess that's also an option. Dog shit. Right, let's get some over here. It's actually easier to spot them in the camera because it picks up a different glare. And that's how you spend £1,000 on absolute bullshit. It's my fat little robin eating some of the worms that escaped. Oh, our little friend up there. Okay, so you may remember many months ago, we were hoping to put the posts for the bug hotel over here and to be able to sort of work around. But what we found was that the roots were just so deep, we couldn't do it. So we had to move the post over here, but we still have a pretty decent hole. So what I'm going to do is dig that just a little bit wider if I can. It doesn't have to be, but then what I'm going to do is put in a plastic barrier for the bamboo. So that will hopefully keep it from spreading. It's already a clumping variety rather than a running variety. And obviously with these 2 huge stumps here, 2 huge stumps there, I'm not too worried. You know, it's got concrete walls boxing it in. So I think that we'll be okay, that it's not going to run. And if it does at least spread just in this corner, great, because it's nice and tall, and it will eventually give us a little bit of privacy. So I'm just going to do a real quick weeding over here, get some of these out of the way, dig that a little bit deeper, put the barrier in,
drop the bamboo in. The good news is I can just put it in as far as it goes. It doesn't have to be any lower than this because I've got plenty of dirt to displace over the next couple of months, so we can just build this corner up a bit, because as mentioned, this is all the boggy area here going down. So where those pavers all join in the corner, that seems to be the deepest part of the garden up here. So that's where all the water was pooling when it was really, really wet. So we're just going to aim all of this in that direction for the deepest part of the pond. And then this will just sort of be boggy with a little bamboo border. And eventually we'll put some other grasses and things in. So let's get to work again.
I'm very grateful that Andy weeded the yard a few weeks ago, or it would have been much worse. Also, the liner was so hard to cut through. I think my hand is going to be sore for about a week. And then also, the pot was really pot bound. So, this is why I had to use the hacksaw to get it out of the pot.
All right. I think we can all agree that looks quite a bit nicer and does a decent job of actually hiding that pipe. Once it gets, a bit more established, it'll be quite good. So I've thrown in just a couple of the little ferns that are in my desperate to be planted pile. Because, why not? So it's got the liner in it, which should keep it from spreading. I don't think it'll be much of a problem because there's such a deep concrete base from this garage that there's a couple of different concrete ridges. So it would really struggle to crawl much out of that corner now. So it should be just enough when it gets nice and tall, hopefully just to add a little bit of interest and, nice, soft and billowy. So I look like I have been rode hard and put away wet. So I'm going to just take a wee bit of a break, catch my breath before I start moving some dirt around. Okay, so one of the last things that I need to do today is dig up this lilac. Can't say I'm excited about doing it, but it needs to be done. So what I've decided to do is just to put the pot straight over here and fill it up over here. Ugh. Just checking for my frog friend Leopold to make sure he's not down in a hidey hole. That's a bit crooked. Don't be crooked. Yeah. So the whole issue here obviously is because where the lilac is, it's just getting drowned. So for my own sanity, I'm going to dig it up, put it in the pot, and then once we've got a lot of the other works done, then we can decide where it's going to live permanently. But because it's starting to bud already, I just want to make sure that we get it sorted now. Let's do some more digging. I will also add, this is almost certainly the wrong time of year to be doing this, but needs must.
I had to start by moving all the rocks that we put in place to keep the foxes from digging it up. Fortunately, what we found was the only thing that kept the foxes out was the straw mulch.
I will admit, I was not expecting it to come out that easy.
Repotting the lilac was super easy. Just a bit of gravel and some compost, covered it up with the straw mulch to keep the foxes out. And I managed to move a whole 8 buckets of gravel before my friend Victoria showed up with a chair that she very kindly collected for me.
All right, I have lost my energy and I'm losing the light, but I got about 8 buckets of gravel moved in. I just have to be a bit mindful that it really upsets the neighbor's dog. So I might just try to do it on a day that they're not home. So it's at least not annoying to them if I set their dog to barking. But pretty happy, even though I'm absolutely exhausted. You can see my little bluebells are getting ready to bloom. The rhubarb is happy. I did trim a bunch of it back the other day, and then I made a rhubarb coulis with meringue. Gabby's tulips are looking gorgeous. We've got a few more that are starting to get ready to bloom. I think after talking to Victoria for a bit, what I'm going to do is plant one of the silver birch in that corner, one in that corner, and I'm not going to try to move the world's heaviest bench. And we'll just have to make that work. So really happy with the bamboo. I think my lilac will be much happier there. The Asa will have the pride of place it deserves. And the sweet gum will fill in the space just to the left of the pine tree, hopefully in years to come, making us feel slightly less overlooked by our neighbors. So it was a really tiring day. I'm feeling pretty accomplished though. And I'm now going to go take a bath because I am so groggy and have a very long day of working on Andy's birthday surprise tomorrow.